as I was going to say, this game feels very Herman
Herman
Ludman.
Ludman. Yeah.
And
Well, and what you mean by that, I believe, is it has some gaminess.
yeah, it feels like a game.
Yeah, yes, it has some random events, although you can mitigate that randomness by, you get to pick some of those, two of them.
Yeah,
Two of
like
the eight
you
that go
pick
in
some
the
of
deck.
them, and then but a bunch of the stuff happens, and it's trying to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Which is very Herman Ludman.
Yeah.
Because he always does his, it's like the 4 Fs, and it's like
Friction,
fog of war, friction of
war,
war, something else, and something else.
with an F. Yeah.
But all of it, boils down to it's the chaos of a battle, of a combat.
Yeah.
Of getting your orders out, having those executed properly, and this is very much in line with that. When we were playing it, I'm like, yeah, this feels like a him design.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think one of the hallmarks of his systems is there always seems to be a lot of rolling. Dice rolling.
Yes.
I feel this had 3 different types of dice, right? You had now they're all the same. They're just 6-siders that are colored. But I loved the concept of rolling the 2d6.
Yes.
And not adding them together, but the black die is always the 10.
Yeah, it's the 11 through 66.
Yes, that was a really interesting way, in my opinion, to really spread the results out.
Well, and
to make it feel a little more gamey.
It gives you more results.
Yeah, and it makes it, what's the word I'm trying to...
To me, when you...
It's not random, but...
No, but you get a greater distribution of results.
Yeah.
Which might be less random.
Let me see that frickin' table.
It's this one here.
Yeah,
but it also, that to me makes it more detailed.
Well, yeah, it gives you a wider range of results, or possible results.
But other games will do that with having 25 modifiers, right? That's the complexity.
Although this had that.
The detail.
This had that mainly with the assault attacks.
Yeah.
That was where we went down that sheet.
It's good for the fire ones too.
You're right.
But it's the usual stuff. It's like defensive terrain and are you shaken kind of a thing.
Right.
Like it's not overwhelming. We've played games where it's like just an ungodly amount of exceptions or modifiers and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, here's my roll, a roll on the table with a couple shifts, but that 11 through 66, the distribution of how those are done based on what you get, and then that forces you into a roll within that result.
Right.
So that's the layers of the rolling is
I don't
intense.
think this ever came up either, these rolling doubles on the CRT.
No, we never...
Because this is also a very Herman Ludman thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think the game that I played that had that. But it's like a combat event. So something good happens to the firing unit, or something bad happens to the... It's just fascinating.
Something
Once again,
happens.
Makes it more of a game. It's a historical simulation set up as in history. Units are historical, I'm assuming. I'm not a Gettysburg expert.
And you can't make one without people blowing their lids if you do it wrong. So
but the names are here.
The
The names are here. I recognize the events. I recognize the geographic markers. And I know, okay, July 1st, remember I was saying, this kind of did happen in this way a little bit. But I kept waiting for this to happen, and it never did. Now, maybe it happened and I didn't see it.
Yeah, maybe early in the game it was like I didn't look
combat event table. I just think that's so fascinating. There's a lot to like in this game. A Most Fearful Sacrifice. I loved the 3.5 hours we played for 3 turns.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried when I was setting it up with the composition of the deck, because the deck substitutes chip pull, which are in his other... This is not blind swords, but it is.
It's what do they call this? Black Swan?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they call this?
But
it's blind swords.
It's the new iteration that doesn't break copyright rules. But the cards, when I was making the deck, first of all, I'm like, that's a lot of random stuff.
It is.
with only a few activations. So
Yep.
I was worried it would be the game is happening to you.
But
and
it did not feel like that at
no,
all.
no.
Because these random events, you can do the event. They're also very situational.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
and- Reading the rules, a lot more of those events were like, oh, hold this until this point.
right.
I've just in reading the rules,
It didn't come off that way.
No, where like, oh, I felt like I was building this little hand that I could use here and there. So that
Right,
was good.
right.
Or you can, dump them for the.
But that's the
main
good
move
part,
and
though.
and
You can dump them for
Yeah.
that, what do they call it, default event?
Yeah,
And it's not a great event, right? One unit, not
it's
an
not-
entire brigade.
but it's not nothing.
Yeah, one unit may minimum move, which means no more than 2 spaces.
Yeah, and typically only one.
Yeah. Or it's do a fire combat. So that's very valuable. Because particularly once we got our lines formed up, I started using those a lot more because I just wanted to get more attacks on you. Because
Yeah.
I wanted to get you shaken. And then I wanted to, once I activated, then I was like, well, I'm going to close assault.
Well,
and
and
I'm
it's-
going to get this over with.
You can do a min move or a little fire attack, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's more than you can do in literally every other game.
That's true.
and that,
Because you activate everybody in every other game, you kind of sit there.
yeah, and I enjoyed that it was like, cool, I activate a formation or a brigade or whatever, and it's like, I do my big moves, and it's like, it's the little bits and pieces, almost, it's not, some of it acts like reaction moves and things where you're like,
Right.
it's this little incidental, like, okay, I can plug a tiny gap in a line, or one of these units can just like do an extra fire because there's something very threatening, and you're like, yeah, in real life they would have done that.
Yeah.
Whereas in other games, it's like, these guys don't activate again till next round.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they just
They just kind of sit there.
yeah, and it's a bit
In
more
this,
static.
it felt more dynamic.
That's a great
Because
word to use.
I was able, like you said, I'm just going to use the default.
yeah, just
It
and
was
it's a
more
little bit
dynamic,
here, and
yep.
it's a little bit there between the larger movements, and
Yeah.
that was that. So that assuaged my concerns. Where I
After
was like,
setting it up, after playing, yeah.
I built a deck, and it's like there's like 2 or 3 like formation activations.
You only had 2 formation activations. I had 1.
Yeah, and then there
Literally.
was like 16 events, and I'm like,
And some of those
is this
events
gonna be bad.
Yeah, some of those events give you major activations, but it's typically 1 brigade. So it's not all your groups.
and it like
it's
can't
one
have
brigade.
activated or something random.
Right.
But
because I had that same
yeah.
concern when you told me how that deck was constructed, I was like, so you're telling me there's like 20 cards in that deck and there are 16 random events.
and then
eight for each of us.
So I was like, oh no, this is going to be kind of crazy.
But it did not feel
And conversely, because this is, I think, the very first. Yeah, we played the very first part of this.
Yeah,
When
we
you-
played scenario 4, an unexpected encounter.
which I'm pretty sure it's like. I'm pretty sure it's the first day of Gettysburg.
It is.
in the
It's
morning.
July 1st. Yep,
And
starts
so-
at 6 a.m. and we played from
It's not. This scenario started at 9 a.m.
right. We played from 9 to noon, basically,
And I think so.
trying to get an
When you play
understanding.
into like day 2 and 3, and you've got all of these other cores, this deck's
Yeah.
gonna be much thicker.
Yep.
With activations, I don't think you add any more amount of
Okay.
events. You might do.
because there's
Better
how
be
many
like 1
other
or
events
2.
are not used.
I think you have 15.
Okay, so
And
you
in
don't
this
use 7.
scenario, you chose 2 and added 6 random.
Got it.
I believe that's the number.
The other thing that's very cool about these little events is you have 8 in your deck. You only get to choose 2.
Yeah.
And then the other 6 are just random.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I remember I picked them differently on the second turn than I did the third because I started to see, okay, here's what might happen.
Yeah, or some
Or-
things are just very good.
Yes.
I
Some of
need
those you
this.
couldn't afford not to put in, like the ones that got you basically immediate recovery of units.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you can get
It's so
recovery.
rare to do it, yeah.
But I did like how, as I learned the game, I learned the system, I understand the situation, and the situation was evolving. This looks very different than when we started. I thought to myself when we started, I'm like, dang, the Union's got a great line.
And they did for a while.
Right, but once I got my better units up there,
Yeah,
put
different
the
story.
pressure, it started to break. And now I've pushed you completely off this ridge back to Seminary Ridge. And it's like, now I'm threatening Seminary Ridge. But I started building this deck differently. And that was fascinating to me.
and it was
Still randomness in it, but
like the ratio of the events will be much lower later in the game
because you have more activations.
which I think will also.
Yeah.
I think that'll feel a little bit better, where it's not just like it's an event and it's another event and it's another event.
And I think there was. I'm thinking in the second round we played. I think there were about 8 cards in a row where we drew,
and
like 3 of your events and 4 of mine.
And that's always going to happen in those very early turns, just because of the distribution of the cards.
That didn't feel good, but I think.
But at least you can. Oh, I'm doing the default event.
Right,
like,
right. Sometimes
I
you do the
something.
and that's what makes it different.
Yeah.
A lot of other games, it's as if you can't use that card for the specific situational event, you're done.
Yeah.
This, I love that default. I thought that was a very good call.
Well, it just keeps something happening.
Right. That dynamism.
Yeah.
I think we've played a lot of games, particularly chit pull games, because this is a modified chit pull.
Yes. It's
where you pull chit after chit, and it's like sometimes, all your chits get pulled. I can't do much of anything. With these cards, though, I was able to still stay in the game,
you can do,
and that was cool.
You're engaged a lot more,
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit of things.
I think I like this game a lot.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And the Rick Barber map here is just phenomenal. I know you don't necessarily love this look and feel, but I think you made the comment of all the ones you've seen.
If I'm gonna like it, it's this one. It's a 2-edged sword because it's so big. And the hex grid's much larger. I feel like I can appreciate it a bit more.
You
and
can
it's
see the
very
detail.
Grand. And it also happens, like, I also know what Gettysburg looks like, so I'm like kind of familiar with it.
Sure.
But it's because it's bigger, everything's a bit more spaced out. It doesn't feel quite as busy as some of the other ones.
Are you becoming a red-blooded American when you say you understand Gettysburg and are
No,
more familiar with it?
This is our 3rd Gettysburg game, so I know what the map should look like.
Okay, yeah, there you go. The other thing I did like about the map, it is hand-drawn, I believe.
If it's not,
it's computer generated to look hand-drawn. Yes.
But I imagine that it
this looks, it really because...
I would hate to be wrong on that, but
maybe
I'm sure
won't
this
be the
is
first
hand-drawn and then digitized.
Got it. Probably. The thing I love about it, though, I like a stippling effect on wargaming boards, and some of the really best ones have it, so it gives it a sense of motion. I don't know if you know what stippling is, where you do just a ton of dots. This doesn't have that, but it has an effect similar to that. They've done a washing of these colors, almost as if you've taken a crayon and just scribbled, where you're not coloring everything, you're covering most of it, and it looks washed.
So in some of his old maps, it is that.
I've seen some of those.
And you can see the stroke marks of the colored pencils.
Here they've washed the stroke marks out.
Which I think that's an after effect.
Probably, but it to me it gives it depth and motion.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
In my opinion. And then I look at these lines, the different colors are fascinating. The different colors mean different elevations and heights, and it's just really cool. The darker colors are the lower, right? The valleys, the stream and creek beds. And the highest points, I think, are yellow, right? Yellow and orange and light green. This is just beautiful. This is one of those maps, I would hang this up on my wall.
Well,
I want to play it more, so I'm not going to do that.
No.
But I would hang this up on my wall.
The double-edged sword part is this is one of the 2 maps. It's massive.
We can't play it.
No.
We can't play a double map scenario.
My whole maps...
Yeah. What are the dimensions on this?
No,
on the map.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
like
it's
44 by 50 something or something.
It's
just insane.
It is 31 by 40.
Okay. So I wasn't too far off.
31 by 40.
That's just huge.
Yeah, considering the other ones are 22 by 34.
Yeah, right.
It's like
it's just insane.
Yeah. So at some point, John's building us a new table.
Yep.
We can turn it this way and have the other map, and we'll be able to do the whole thing.
Well, we can put them to, and I think that we made the comment, we've played 3 rounds, we understand the system.
And fairly comfortable with it too.
I think at this point, and we've gotten out of it what we want, now I want to get it where we can play both the maps, put 100 counters on
Yeah.
and really play this over, say, a month period where
'Cause
we
this
have
is
it set up.
yeah, that's the thing with this game. This is an extremely long game.
Well, and it's a big game too. I
A
mean,
turn takes
a
an
long
hour
time. And it's because,
at least.
and it reminds me in that way. I made the comment when we were playing, oh, we've never really played swords, the blind sword system, right? Which is
Yeah.
what this Black Swan is based on. And you made that comment just like you did. At any cost is.
That's a modified blind sword system.
And I'm like, the thing I remembered about that, I remember we played that when we started like at 4 o'clock in an afternoon. I think I left your house at like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it was late.
And we played that entire time, and we only did like 4 turns because each turn was very involved. The combat system is fairly crunchy. I don't think it's hard.
No, but there's just
There's a lot of steps.
and there's a lot of units. And
Yes.
it's
And it's
issuing
do it for
those
each one of
orders,
those. Yep.
and do they obey the orders? If they're out of command range, you roll on
Yeah.
that table, and then your Cav randomly charge those artillery.
You didn't have that.
Die.
There was no zones of control, no out of command radius.
There's no
this
no
one.
command structure. The zones of control exist
They're just different.
vaguely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's you
Well,
get
when
into
you retreat-
engagement.
When you retreat through them, you're going to take. You have to do a what was it called? Panic roll.
Well, you take a shaken result,
Right.
and that can cause you to make a break check.
A break check.
which-
Panic. A break check. Yeah. I don't know. I really like this system. I can tell that this has been modified to make it, I think, more playable. In my opinion, having never played truly the blind sword
No,
system.
we've never played any of the Civil War ones, at least.
This is, I think, very cool, very interactive, very engaging, supremely interesting too. I really have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think.
Yet it's gamey.
And the other thing I liked about this, that I don't know if I was worried about it, but there was a lot more movement on the map than I thought there was going to be.
A lot more maneuver.
Yeah,
Yes.
or just like stuff happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it's like, hey, my line charges your line,
We're gonna-
and then we're locked in Mortal Kombat, and then someone dissolves and the game's over. Or
Yeah.
I charge you, and then I lose to defensive fire, and then I run away again.
Right.
Whereas this one was like, oh no, like
Yeah.
from where we started to where we got
Yep.
to, it's like this.
I mean, we have shifted.
This is a lot. You have to kind
So-
of build the reinforcements coming on. You're running up, trying to form those lines
Yeah.
to try and hopefully make a defensive stand. But that was interesting.
And it is interesting, the reinforcements, when they come on, they have to be activated the same as every other unit. And if you don't roll well on these activation cards, you may not be able to get them in the battle.
And they might
very
come on
quick.
next turn.
Yep.
You're like,
They don't leave, but it's like they may sit here on the edge of the map, never doing anything. I like that because I think it really replicates. I think this concept of whatever we would call this, the activation,
yeah, that's a division activation.
division activation, when you have to roll on this simulates a lot of things that 4 Fs. The
Yes.
fatigue, friction, fog of war, and difficulty with command, that simulates that very well. Because sometimes your orders just don't get through. Your courier got sniped as he was running down, and all of a sudden your cannons are standing there like a bunch of morons.
Or he delivered the orders, and your divisional commanders were like, no.
Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
very, very fascinating.
reading the rules. I was like, I hope I understand this. But you're like, you pull the core activation, roll the die,
Yeah.
and then you either do what it says, or it basically instructs you to roll on the divisional command, and then you roll
Yeah.
a die on there, and then do what that says.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a lot of. I was worried to be a bit procedural and dice rolling, and it wasn't. But it was very simple.
I thought it went pretty quick. It was
No.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think this is a big game. I think this game is best going to be played in the big. You're going to want to do the whole shebang.
it was designed for,
the whole
you know.
shooting match,
You've got a lot of small scenarios in here.
which is cool. We learned the system.
Yes.
We threw it on the board. We played for 4 hours, and it's like I feel comfortable with the system. Now I don't want to wait too long.
No.
Unfortunately, I think our father-in-law is not necessarily moving quickly on the on the table.
Yeah, I was hoping it'd be finished sooner.
Maybe we need to gig him a little bit.
Well, he's
doing it basically for free. We just bought the materials.
Yeah, but he's like, I know he's doing other projects at the moment
Sure.
as well, and he's like, he's done some test stuff, and he was like, I'll like show you what I've got so far. So I'm like, I think he might have more done than I think, but I don't know if it's a lot.
I want to get it done so we can.
I know. I
want to play it.
He's like said,
more.
oh yeah, I want to do this like 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
It's been a while.
And like the day after he agreed to do it, I've been planning what first game I want to. So I'm like,
is play this?
3 months later, I'm like.
Yeah, come on.
I want to set this game.
We love you, John. We love you. I really enjoyed this. Had a great time.
Yeah,
tonight flew. I mean, it's 8:30, 8:45, and I'm like,
And you know me, I'm not a big Civil War nut.
No, you're not.
But
and you're going to be mad at me later when we get ready to do our debrief because I've got a stack of Civil War games that I want to play. Well, they're all new, but I want to play.
Well, if it's Brothers at Arms, I'm playing.
It is Brothers at Arms, and it's also Give Us Victories. From
that's
the
European one, right?
Edizioni, yeah.
Now I'm curious about that. But yeah,
looks good.
But like a game like this, the system is so cool and enjoyable that it makes me interested in the theme.
No doubt.
As opposed to some games I'll play because the theme's cool and the mechanics can be like, yeah, right. But like I had fun doing the thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, yes, this is great.
The process of moving the stuff around is very neat here. There's a lot going on. I like it.
Yes.
And I was actually, I was hanging on every card. Not so much when I was the puller, because you rotate that.
Which was a neat part. When I read that in the rules, I was like,
that's kind of weird.
That's cool though. It's like,
like you were pulling the card.
I know what I've got, but I also know what you've got, and you know what you've got, but you don't know what I've got.
So that was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting because when I drew that really good card, I'm like, ooh, dang! Now I can really do something.
And then you pull my good card, and you're like, okay, I can prepare for that a little bit.
Yeah, right. It doesn't hurt as bad.
But
on the other side of the table, you're like, oh, what did he just pull? What did he just pull? It's great. It's great. Really like this. A Most Fearful Sacrifice.
Yeah,
from the great Herman
very
Lutman.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, I had a great time with this. Can't wait to play it more.
Absolutely.
So